State. We'll play a bit of Bruce Springsteen as well, and well, we might do all sorts of other things. But first, it's Croatian National Day coming up this weekend, and well, we always, not that we ever look for an excuse, but we like to find a reason to go to various places in our architecture tour. And Croatian National Day is a very good reason to go and have a look at the Croatian Embassy, which is, well, it's a relatively new embassy here in Canberra. It's in O'Malley. And as usual, I took our resident architect, Rick Butt. Well, from time to time in the architecture segment, we like to go out and visit other countries. And today we're in Croatia. Yes, we're standing on Croatian soil at the Croatian Embassy. It's Croatian National Day on Sunday, May the 30th. We'll find out a little bit more about that later. Rick Butt is here as always. Rick, nice to see you again after a couple of weeks where you've been on the Sunday program.
Indeed, Rod, and it's good to see you back.
Now, Ricky, you've got a friend you can introduce as well, the man that designed this building.
Yes, one of Canberra's architects, Anthony Mikulik.
Anthony, nice to meet you.
Good afternoon, Rod.
You've designed this building. What sort of brief were you given at the start?
The brief was to provide, obviously, an embassy and a chancellery for a new diplomatic mission to Canberra, being for the new Croatian government. The brief was very broad in just providing, obviously, rooms for the people, providing a house for the resident, for the ambassador, and interpreting from there. So it was very open initially and it was a bit difficult, but I think at the end of the day it was a worthwhile result.
Now, Anthony, always when you're designing an embassy, the question arises as to how strong a character do you give to the original country's architecture, and how much do you perhaps place it in the context of Canberra or Australia?
On initial invitation to do a design for the building, I very much wanted a contemporary building, something to reflect the direction the country was going in as opposed to where it's been. As I worked more and more on the project, I started to believe that more relevance would be to provide a building with a modern interpretation, perhaps, and lots of regional references to the people here in Australia. At the end of the day, the building picks up quite a lot of characteristics of the architecture throughout Croatia, principally to the north or towards the Zagreb and the capital of Croatia. And there are influences also in minor details of other areas through Croatia, through the Mediterranean, through the east. At the end of the day, I think it was a great compliment to be greeted by a complete stranger, someone from Perth, during the opening of the building, who came up to me, a complete stranger, and said, "You have captured my homeland so well, I feel like I'm back home." And it was a great compliment, and it's stuck with me ever since then, and I think it sort of sums up the success of the building.
The only part of Croatia that has views of Woden.
Anthony, what are some of the elements, the architectural elements that you've put into this building that reflect Croatia?
Lots of it to do with the finish being the renders, the fenestration or the windows through the building. The principal element of the design element is this corner turret of the building.
That's without doubt the most beautiful part of the building, probably, and we might just describe it. You come up a long pathway, I suppose, and then up some stairs, and there's plenty of gates and security. We come to a porte cochere, Rick?
You got that one right, Rod?
And a very large, window entrance beyond the porte cochere as we go up more steps. To the left is a fairly conventional, it's about 2 stories. There's, I think, a ground floor, a first floor, and then a lower ground floor. But then to the left of the entrance is this turret. It's again, also, it's a ground floor, it's first floor, and then beyond that, how would you describe that?
Well, it picks up a lot of historical elements of castles that appear throughout Croatia, particularly the north, that is. And in planning it gives a site, a centre that all the buildings orientate off with a chancellery or the residence on the left and the embassy on the right.
It has a pointed roof, basically. It has a round, it's like...
It's a conical roof, and it's got wonderful little terracotta pan tiles, a very flat little tile that enables you to get around such a small diameter so easily.
Yeah, that was quite a bit of an effort to get that. A lot of these ideas look great on plan, but it's hard to get the craftsmanship to do it, and unfortunately we had to pull some people out of Sydney, some experienced tilers, because the very, very tricky construction.
It's a real feature of the building. It's a beautiful bit of work, and yeah, that tiling in particular looks lovely. What about the colour of the? I suppose it's both the residence and the embassy here.
Oh, it's very much it's a sandstone render, very much to get the feel of the Mediterranean or the Adriatic architecture. Again, one of these regional influences which tried to introduce into the building, and it's worked successfully. It'd give a totally different aesthetic and feel, for argument's sake, if it was just normal bricks we used. And again, it comes down to the scale of building. And here it's given it a very soft feel, and it worked very well.
And a beautiful view back over Woden and to the other side over the Woden Valley Hospital. Well, also here with us today is Vesna Stryker. Now, Vesna, you've been an occasional guest on the program over the years. Your Croatian background helped us get here today.
It certainly did, Rod, and I'm really pleased to be back on the ABC radio yet again.
Vesna, how important is it for the Croatian community to have an embassy, not only for the Croatian community in Canberra, but also throughout Australia?
Oh, look, it's absolutely essential, and the community Australia-wide did work very hard in order to raise the funds as well as the labour to build the embassy, and we actually were the first Croatian embassy opened worldwide that a standalone building was built for the government of Croatia.
Australia and Croatia have had close ties over the years, and a lot of Croatians have come to Australia. They have a very big community here. What about in Canberra? Is it a big Croatian community?
We have about 8,000 to 9,000 Croatians living in the Canberra-Queanbeyan area, so we are quite big actually, yes.
Well, as we're about to walk into the embassy, there's all sorts of, detailed tile work on the ground here, Rick. I mean, it's more than just your normal entranceway. There's a lot of work being done here. In fact, there are thousands of tiles. If that's the right word, am I using the right terms here, Rick?
Well, you are, Rod, but you've been tricked.
Oh, okay.
It's, in fact, a sprayed pattern onto concrete, and it's made to represent tiles. And you've got lots of different colours, radiating circles, and all these decorative elements brought in to emphasise the architecture of the entrance.
Canberra has quite a lot of concreters, and there's very much an effort and a contribution from themselves.
Concreting is one of the great strengths of the Croatian people?
Apparently so.
Along with the bricklaying and all the other trades within the building industry, definitely.
Well, what a happy thing then for you that one of the strengths of the Croatian community allowed you to put this building up then.
Well, Rod, I always say that we were destined to immigrate to Australia, to be in the building industry, because when the time came, we had all the expertise here. And the amazing thing about this building is that from the time the actual construction work started, it was about a 6-month process to the day that the building was opened by the Croatian president.
Ricky, you're looking astonished at that, aren't you? I mean, you could take 6 months to just get concrete poured.
How do I answer a question like that, Rod?
Just nod and say yes, unfortunately.
6 months is in a very short time, and it shows the dedication and the interest. A normal building project like this would probably be about 12 months, Anthony.
I would imagine so. That'd be typical, 12, or roughly that time. But this was a 7-day-a-week effort. Well, nearly 24-hour day. When we had lights, we had lights. It is a great effort from not just, it was totally an Australian-wide and effort contribution. Sydney, Melbourne, Perth, people came down and stayed here, put up by other community members, and I've never ever seen anything like it, and it's reflected in the building today.
We've come inside the Croatian Embassy, into the foyer. Beautiful marble floor as we stand at the entrance. To me it looks Italian marble.
Quite right, Rod. Actually, it was a new cut, just only introduced to Australia when we started construction of here. Went and inspected it in Sydney and selected it for its unique colours. It's something quite unusual for purples and greens through. It's quite attractive.
Now, over the office here, we've got in carpet, I suppose, the Croatian coat of arms. Vesna, are you able to explain this for us?
I can explain it, Rod. The coat of arms has been with the Croatians for many centuries. The red and silver or white squares, very renowned in Croatian history. The top component that you can see there actually reflect the 5 regions that make up Croatia. So each of those top-angled bits represents one of the regions that make up our state of Croatia.
Also in here we have a bust of the President of Croatia?
The Croatian President, Dr. Franjo Tuđman.
And he came out here and opened the building.
Oh, yes, absolutely. He came out here in 1995, the 21st of June, and officially opened this building.
Rick, we're in the Great Hall of the Croatian Embassy, and it's a very nice room, isn't it?
It is indeed, Rod. 2 stories. It's a rectangular room with a timber floor, some very large carpets on it, and the windows are almost 2-storey high. There's a spandrel panel through the middle of them. That's that piece of white wall in between the upper and lower windows, Rod.
Well, basically, of the 2 floors, we've got doors and windows floor to ceiling on one floor, and then of course there's no floor above us, but we go up to the next level and the windows are up there as well, and those ones have wooden Venetian blinds, but there are curtains from the top of the 2nd floor all the way down to the ground floor, or the top of the 1st floor as the case may be, all the way down to the ground floor. So it's a very impressive sight.
It is, Rod, and as we've noticed with the outside, the views from the room are spectacular. And you can see across the tennis court, it's obviously, Anthony, a public space.
Oh, very much. This is one of the only rooms the public get to enjoy in the building, and the purpose of being to provide an ambience for the people during formal functions and informal functions.
One of the formal uses of the room, I think, is for concerts, because we've got a piano, sort of a baby grand, up one end of the room, and so it looks like the ideal space for that intimate little chamber concert perhaps, or piano recital. Vesna, now there's someone here who can tell us all about the artwork here, and also this beautiful rugs or carpets on the floor. Who have we got?
We've got Mrs. Tuga Tardle, the Cultural Officer of the Croatian Embassy.
So what have we got around the walls here, and then what's on the floor?
And unfortunately, we don't have very much in comparison with the possibilities we could bring to Canberra. But that carpet here is something very unique, made in Croatia. And this is naive art of our famous naive artist Ivan Lacković-Croata. We have a school of that sort of art, which is worldwide known, and one of the representatives of that school is Ivan Lacković-Croata. So this is inspired by his work, and you can see the print on that wall, which is also his work. And also the other artist who is living in Australia, and I would say that he is really very well known in Australia. This is Charles Bilic, and his print to Canberra.
Now, in the Great Hall here, what sort of cultural events would go on?
We started culture forums, and we are among a very small number of embassies in Canberra who often organize cultural forums. This is a sort of meeting place of different cultures. So we invite not only Croatian representatives, we also invite people from other communities. For instance, we recently had one cultural forum focused on minority rights in the world, and we invited one Aboriginal dance group. We always start with a short musical performance or dance performance, and then we have a guest who has topics, or he has a speech about something which is of interest for diplomatic missions. And also sometimes we prepare exhibitions. Here, this is, I would say, the start of the program of activities which will rise in the future, in the near future.
But speaking of the cultural program here, you can play the piano, and you do have the baby grand here. And what are you going to play us a Croatian tune?
It's I would say I can show you. This is easier than to explain. Okay.
so much. Rick, I think that's a first. I don't think we've ever had anyone play the piano, not even when we visited the French music salon in Pierce.
No, indeed, and it really does show the quality of the acoustics in the room.
Well, we've come out the back of the Croatian Embassy, which is sort of our final stop here today. It's got a beautiful view out over, well, part of O'Malley, I presume, Rick, that's O'Malley. And you can see plenty of houses, two-storey for the most part, going up the hill there at the back, in fact, gradually encroaching on the top of the hill. And also the tennis court here is a feature of the back garden, which I suppose can be seen from the front door of the embassy if the curtains are open and the door to the Great Hall is open. You can see straight through to the tennis court. And of course, Croatia in recent years has produced many, many great tennis players. Rick, we've got pillars that are, what are they, concrete or cement?
They're a precast concrete column, nicely coloured, and matches the walls and the rendering of the building. They're in a fairly classical style. What are they, Tuscan?
Yep. Yeah,
columns, creating a real loggia, and it's quite a historic element put onto the building. And again, it contrasts the heritage parts of Croatian architecture with the modern, fairly modern interpretation of this building.
Croatian architecture is very regional, as we discussed earlier. It being influenced from a particular area towards the Mediterranean or towards the north and towards the east of Croatia, or have very much regional influences with maybe a common theme running through them. Therefore, picking up, as Rick said, some of the elements in this building are perhaps related to early Canberra. That's intentional, being the sense picking up regional influences of a lot of the residents in Canberra and Australia of Croatian origin.
The red coloured roof, which I believe the tiles are terracotta, although it does have an Australian look, is it also part of the Croatian and the Mediterranean feel?
Very much so. The Roman influence towards along the Adriatic coast. All the buildings are red terracotta tiles.
And Rod, it's interesting to see here another great Croatian feature brought to Australia, and that's the stone wall. And the stone walls have been used, of course, as such a hilly site, to great advantage to help terrace the levels around there, but I think a very identifiable element from Croatia.
Well, Rick, I think we've only on our architecture tours finished on a tennis court once before, and that was at the Rupert Murdoch House. You'd have to say that this would be the most attractive tennis court in Canberra, or at least the tennis court in Canberra with the most attractive view at the Croatian Embassy. It's just superb, isn't it? Up here on this hill, you can see plenty down into the valley of O'Malley. Oh, and we've got kangaroos out in the backyard. Is that also a Croatian touch?
Very much a bit of an Australian influence there.
Ricky, any final thoughts on the Croatian Embassy here in O'Malley?
Well, Rod, as you've been alluding to, the views from the site are fantastic. Although I think in the summertime it might be a little bit different with that afternoon setting sun. But I think that you have a tremendous group of buildings here that both capture a little bit of Croatia and the heritage there, but also relate to Canberra and to Australia. So there's been a very complex blend of all of these things by the architect here.
Ricky, thanks very much.
Thanks, Rod.
Anthony, thank you very much. You've done a beautiful job here. You must be very proud of it.
I am very proud. Thankful for the opportunity to do it, and I believe we've given a building that Canberra can be proud of on the embassy circuit.
And Vesna Striker, thanks for showing us around today. Now tell me, what's happening on the weekend?
Rod, on the weekend, on Sunday the 30th of May, we're actually celebrating Croatian Statehood Day, and in that celebration we celebrate freedom, and this embassy right here on the top of the hill at O'Malley stands as the symbol of that freedom.
And what significance does May the 30th have?
That's the day that Croatia declared independence.
In what, recently, or was it go back in history?
1991.
Okay, this was following the breakup of the former Yugoslavia.
Yes.
So it's a very happy day for all Croatians.
Absolutely.
Vesna Striker, thanks very much.
Rod, thank you for the opportunity.
We'd like to thank everyone at the Croatian Embassy for letting us have a look around, and we even ran into the ambassador, which was pretty exciting. It's 26.